Hello everyone, Eric Watson here. Welcome to Chat for the Lost Plane, our weekly live streamed post-session discussion where we talk about what the hell just happened on our latest D&D session. This is the chat for session 6, so if you haven't watched that session, please do so, because there will be spoilers. DM Chris is here.
Hello.
Needs to be here. And Raymond, aka Kethra.
Hello.
We're here to talk about our session. No combat. I think after a very heavy
First
combat,
time.
yeah.
Yep. I'll say this. This is the first thing I'll say. Oh, Jesus, sorry. The whiskey just burned my throat. Went down the wrong way. The timing was off. What I wish had happened...
This would have been a great one to have the break on.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I wish this had happened, because this was following action.
Yep.
This was like, okay, you guys beat the boss. Now it's the exposition dump. Following action,
Yep.
Getting stuff together, and that would have been a better ending before a break. So that's a little, the timing didn't work out very well, but that's what we're doing today.
100%. Yeah. As soon as we were starting to do that, I was like, oh, this is like setting up for the next like story beat, and this would be a good stopping point if you had. But that's one of the hardest thing to do about. I mean, this show is not scripted or anything. We're just playing D&D, so
Yeah, exactly.
you don't know when the things are going to stop and start.
Yep. So I up until right before I left, I'll say this. There was one more like trap situation with the bellboy. So there could have been a combat scenario there.
Oh.
I took it out because I'm like, it doesn't make any sense anymore. Like it didn't feel right because you guys beat the boss.
Right.
There shouldn't be another combat thing after the boss is beaten. And granted, the combat thing wasn't like real combat. What it was going to be is that like the room that the bellboy was in was trapped with like some sort of musical thing that was making him hit it, like making him jerk around and hit himself with the bell. So it was like it's supposed to be an added challenge of like, oh, how do we stop him without, getting deafened by the bell or getting hit by the trap, which would like cause you to jerk around.
What was the trap?
It was supposed to be like a magic harp on the wall that while the place was under attack, it was like playing, but anyone who came within a certain distance of the harp and could hear it, like had to make a save or they'd just start jerking around and hitting themselves. Kind of like the dancing fruit or whatever. Just sort of, but it was affecting the bellboy by making him hit himself, which, as you guys learned a while back, causes damage in an area and deafens.
Oh, yeah.
All that. But that would have turned into like roll initiative. You guys try to figure out how to stop this. And I just felt like it's over. It's, the dungeon's done. You guys beat the boss. It's all good.
I think that was the right call. Yeah, we're like separated and we're all kind of exploring different rooms and stuff too. It would have been almost like obtrusive to have this sudden event pull us all into like, okay, we have to deal with this singularly.
I seem to remember you saying something similar about the end of Tomb, where like at the end of Tomb there was just some other random shit at the end, and you're like, why?
Yes, God. At the end of Tomb, spoiler alert, the portal that Serac appears in that final boss room, that portal leads to technically another section of that level, and that level still has like 4 like mini rooms in it, and like there's a whole section. There's another puzzle. We have to like follow these lines to go to the right one. It's a whole ordeal, and it's just like, why would you have all of this in here after you've beaten? It's just so none of that. I was interested in not doing any of that. So I
just feel like narratively, it's just let it go. Yep.
Yeah. I think yes, Jason. This is a homebrew campaign.
Fully homebrew. Yes.
Fully homebrew, but you are including maps and things that people may recognize from.
You'll see bits and pieces of things.
Yeah. I did not realize we were going to get a whole overland map.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to do that, create that much of it. I thought we were just going to be shepherded to one location to the next.
Right. It's not as open world as you might imagine. Just because,
we even made a joke about it, like trying to go this way, and you're like, no,
go this way.
No, you're not doing that.
I don't have anything prepared for that, guys. Fuck off.
We knew that. We were just fucking with you.
Yeah.
That part of the world is under construction.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly.
It's like the Final Fantasy map. They show you the whole map, but you can only pick a certain location.
Exactly.
That's right. You can only go here, here, and here. That's it.
Here's our wonderful map, but these are the only places we've actually developed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But still, I didn't expect to actually have that map there, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Are you planning on like charting our progress and like having all these things pop up, or?
Kind of, sort of. There may be some more options on like where to go or which way to go to get to a place, and that's more. It's more for that purpose, like for you guys to like we did tonight, like chart the path. You want to go this way or you want to go that way? There's two different things you can encounter. That's basically my alternative to trying to make an open world situation is instead just giving you a bunch of binary choices.
I like that. I think that works. I think it works well for a group because we're not like big on the like open, and especially playing on Roll20, that's always a factor. But we're not big on just like, okay, let's decide where to go next. Instead, like let's react to the decisions that we're given. And I like that you gave us a decision to make. Like, hey, well, you gave us two decisions. We can talk about that one too. Which NPC that you want and which route do you want to take. And that was actually a lot of fun.
That I can't get the voice right.
Oh no.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I'm walking around, I can do. Let's see if I can take the headphones off and do it. It's Ray Winstone. It is what it's supposed to sound like. When I'm sitting here at the computer with like a drink and I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I can't do the growl. It won't come out right. So I have to like try to like practice it.
But it's
sitting down.
Whatever
here.
you end up doing, that's the voice.
That's it. Yeah.
Like you don't like tear yourself up about not doing it exactly. Like that just becomes.
But I had
the voice.
Very specific.
Yeah.
What it specifically was Ray Winstone in the movie Cats. He's in that movie.
I never.
And he's got a couple lines where it's just you know how Ray Winstone sounds. It's just that very gravelly British underbelly voice. And I wanted the cat to sound like that.
I did not get that connection at all. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't see cats.
But yeah, so I'll work on it. Oddly, the one I was most worried about is I can do an Irish accent just fine.
Yeah.
That one actually was all right.
I think I liked that one the best. But I did like that we were looking at it from a mechanical standpoint. Like, all right, now that you told us like what your skill sets are, let's see what we need.
Yep.
Totally
Fiog
forgot
was
I was
supposed to be like the C-3PO of the group. Like, you can translate and he can talk to people and he's, he knows what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah.
Rycrash is like a magic cat, so he's all like, he can, tell you about magic stuff that you come across.
Mm-hmm.
And Thixia was like the environmental, like, ranger-esque type thing.
Yeah. Which turns out I am a ranger and do have environment. Which, again, I've never played this character before, so I was literally like looking at my sheet going, oh yeah, we're 6 sessions in, I've never been outside.
Yep.
Speaking of which, are you going to level Warlock or Ranger? I kind of don't know.
Huh.
It's been a long time since I had to think about this character in terms of the
6
build.
weeks.
Yeah.
More than that, 7 weeks.
Yeah, so I'll need to go back to the drawing board and actually figure out what my plan was there. I think I might have had a plan at one point. Because usually it's almost fun as a fun, purely theoretical exercise. You go to 20, but we're never going to go to 20.
Yeah.
Well, this campaign we're actually going to 20 supposedly, so I will need to figure that out, I guess. Probably just keep going Ranger, I guess. I don't know.
You got as much Warlock as you want.
Maybe. I was hoping to kind of suss out what we need in this team. And Kethra's actually a pretty good archer, too, so we don't have a whole lot of spells, which is why we took the cat, because we need the Arcana.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, we don't have it. And no, we don't have any good intelligence among, like, the 5 of us. Like, and unfortunately, it's kind of D&D's fault. Like, if you're not a wizard and you're not somebody who just puts points into intelligence for the sake of having those skills...
There's not a good reason why.
There's not a good
reason. Bard is a charisma caster.
Yeah.
Sorcerer is a charisma caster. Paladin's a charisma caster. There's not a reason. Warlock.
There's a certain rogue and a certain fighter, I think, that you could go spellcasting with, and that you want intelligence for. And they did add the artificer, which is all about intelligence, which is cool. But other than that, not ideal. Kethra, are you going to multi-class? Chad is asking.
That's a good question. I was just thinking about it now when you mentioned it, but I don't think I will.
Oh, yeah, just go full rogue.
Yeah. I mean, it might be more fun or interesting to multi-class, but I don't know if I see it happening though.
I mean, it definitely
Just
ends
for
up messy and kind of a disaster at one point. I have fun with it for sure, but
It does. I might look at the classes and see, but I can't think of immediately off the top of my head a multi-class that would like benefit her as
Right.
the assassin.
Well, what would go well? Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking at the end though when that clothes popped up, I was like, oh, that would go so well with my disguise and imposter and all that. But
Get Gillian to give it to you. She got some other dresses off that rack.
yeah. Probably.
I know. But for the campaign, I didn't want to say anything. I was waiting for her to offer like, oh, anybody need this? But she didn't.
I'd speak up if I were you and see if you can get them, because I do think you would work well with those.
Yeah, I'm sure I can find other ways to do it, but in the
Yeah.
campaign, I don't realize she has these clothes, so
When you see them.
right now.
Yeah, a lot of the rooms in here were either, I mean, there was the boss fight room, which you guys did last time.
Yep.
And then a lot of these back end rooms were either exposition or a loot hoard.
Yeah.
Like that's which you guys missed a couple, just FYI. But they were all kind of trinkety type things. You guys
Yeah.
didn't go through the bathroom.
Right.
And what else did you guys not go through? Oh, the other study room.
The first room, I guess.
Yeah, the first study. Yeah, you guys didn't search through that.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, most of the loot from the end of the dungeon was trinkety type stuff.
We were honestly kind of focused on just getting the
Yeah.
bellboy, and then Gillian
Yeah.
was actually doing the best job of like, I'm gonna go explore and check things out, and then I just randomly was I literally was just like, oh, I'm just gonna have a little fun scene with Sticks going through the liquor, and then you were like, no, there's actually things in this room. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize. I thought it was just a bullshit room. And then when we did the bellboy thing, I was like, oh shit, that's actually part of the main puzzle we need to do.
That was the final puzzle. Yeah, it was the. But you guys got that one instantly, so that's
well, I mean, that
you
was
guys
literally
did it in the right
we
orders.
would just messed with that thing. So like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And you did a good job of because I would have not noticed anything, but you mentioned the humming or something. I was like, okay, I guess I'll investigate.
Right. Yep.
The singing stein was fun. That was an example of me role playing my character. That I thought the singing stein was awesome, but my character was like, "Ah, fuck this! I don't care about this."
I think you guys role played just fine because that it is kind of how people may react to a mug and singing at you. It's just
my rock star bard in the other campaign, which unfortunately has been suspended right now, but would absolutely love that item. He would adore that. So that was an example of me role playing the character. I'm like, nope, I don't care. I was like, but Eric was like, oh, that's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
A mug that sings and sings about me.
Right. Other than that, you guys got most of the loot. Yeah, like I said, you missed like two things.
Oh yeah, what was the stuff that we missed? We won't get it now.
No, you guys are already gone.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you go back.
No, the door's closed.
In the bathroom, there was a bath potion that if you poured on yourself, you're instantly clean.
Okay.
Just a trinket. It's just who knows how you could use that, but and then the candle was magical. I forget what it does. It's part of a transport message set of 2 candles.
Oh.
But it wasn't terribly important. The important thing in terms of exposition wise is everything that Gillian found.
Yeah, that was good. I like that you
book,
layered that in
the
there.
Scrolls,
Yeah.
the summoning circle.
Yep.
Sort of give you guys a view of what happened here, like how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea would being that like in the very beginning, I don't know if you guys even remember that you could kind of hear the voices right before you were teleported, like talking about you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And the idea being that like while they were
we heard them in
the crystals,
in that first session too, right? We heard the voices
true.
talking
That's
to
true.
us.
We
chatted with them for a while.
Yeah, that was more like intentional on their part because they're like transmitting through the tower or whatever.
Mm.
But when they were doing the summoning with the scrolls, you could hear them talking about you.
That's
just
true.
Because
that was that personal, like everybody was in their scene doing something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the idea being that while you guys were doing that, they were in that they were on that circle using the scrolls and the crystals to summon you guys there.
Gotcha.
That's that being this being just this part especially completely homebrewed. It was actually a bit of a challenge to figure out stuff that goes in every one of these rooms. Like, there's a lot of empty rooms that what do I do with these?
Gotta fill it out. That's what's so intimidating for me to try to just do that stuff from scratch. Like, how do you even fill all that out and make every single room, which not every single room has to have something in it, but, ideally there's enough interest to make exploration worthwhile.
Yep. Exactly. And then because Kethra's method made the bellboys just sort of a moot point, the bellboys a moot point.
Not even have to make a check anymore. It's like, yep, you.
Yeah,
do the,
we realize you can't fail. He literally, Kethra cannot fail. She's got, yeah.
Kethra cannot fail.
Yeah, I don't know how you can get around that.
I mean, just come up with bigger DC checks.
Yeah, bigger DC checks, yeah, or things that just going to be, yeah. Depending on what you're doing, things that may just be impossible to do.
You mentioned with the overland travel, it sounded like you wanted to adopt the tomb rules that I had for the jungle, but then mentioning that, oh, well, of course, you guys already have the spells that negate that.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about that quite at the moment, because that's kind of a holdover from Tomb, where like in the early parts of the jungle crawl, you guys.
For those of you that haven't watched Tomb, our Tomb of Annihilation campaign, during the early parts of exploring the jungle, which was levels like 3, 4, in fact, I think it was just 3 and 4.
Yeah.
They did not automatically long rest because it's 1 day for a hex crawl. And it would have just kind of made a lot of combat encounters meaningless if you can just long rest all the time. So we eliminated that and turned it into kind of a big dungeon crawl. And still long rested, like occasionally there would be an event that popped up or something. Usually you guys would make it to the next location, though, and then long rest there.
Right.
Which worked out pretty well. And then once we made level 5, Gillian got access to Leomin's tiny hut. And at that point, and we spent a long time at levels 3 and 4. You guys were one level for a while.
Yeah.
We kind of eliminated that rule and just said, okay, well, now we're...
the timing just worked out well.
The timing worked out very well.
She got that at the same time that you were done with the dungeon.
We're kind of done with the X-crawl thing. Yeah, like, all right, you guys can speed through the jungle at this point, because it's not really... you guys have kind of out-leveled the content, basically.
Yeah.
But here, I don't know what your situation is, so...
Well, I'll say this. I'm gonna let the hut be exactly what it was before. I'll wait for you guys to long rest if you want to. I mean, because that's the purpose of it, right?
You can always pull a kind of what I did in the tomb. I think once, maybe twice.
Well,
there's threats now that can dispel the hut.
I'm about to say, dispel magic is not an uncommon spell.
No, it's not, and we're at a high level.
And you guys are dealing with high level things now, exactly. Yeah. So that's all I'll say about that. Is that dispel magic is. Yeah. Like a 3rd level spell? It's not at the level you're at. People be throwing around that like candy.
For sure. So, yeah.
But I don't intend to like do a whole bunch of like gotchas.
Right.
But, it's Or there may be situations where like even in the night or whenever you guys are trying to long rest, you just know that you're not in a safe place to even set up the hut.
Yeah.
Like, if you know there's enemies nearby, setting up the hut is just probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like our group is really good about not abusing resting. I was really impressed with how few times you all rested in the final tomb, in Tomb of Annihilation, for example. But overland travel, you just automatically end up resting all that time. So that's why having that firm rule seems to help in that regard, because it's not about like, oh, you're abusing the rest system. It's like, well, you're just traveling over the course of this many days, so you're just going to rest like every so often. Yep. And that means you'd have to create a encounter interesting, and they don't always have to be combat counters, but typically D&D, some combat. How do you make that interesting, knowing the party is fully rested at the start, and then they will get a full rest afterwards, so they'll just explode with all of their things.
I think in Storm Kings, I was letting you guys have long rest constantly, I think. And I think I just ended up ratcheting things up. That's kind of what I did.
I don't think we had too many wilderness encounters, though. I think fairly early on, we had the flight to get around, and then we had the teleporters to get around. So, early on, it was a thing. Low levels, it can still be pretty dangerous to even have one encounter if you ratchet it up and be a big deal, especially with our injury rule and all that.
Yep.
But at this level, good lord, if you just...
yeah.
It seems crazy. But who knows? I can't speak to balance too much because this is all uncharted territory.
Yeah, me either. We'll see. Yeah. I'm curious about situations where you guys do feel like you can just unleash whatever you want because you're gonna be able to rest afterwards.
Yeah.
And how that'll work.
And I think we've mentioned before that can be fun occasionally. Is just
some of those are good. Yeah.
Have your players be able to have an
yeah.
encounter they know they don't have to gauge their resources and just go nuts.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Is Tim still a fighter cleric? Is he actually full? I think he's full cleric now.
He's full cleric now.
Respect.
Yeah, that was a respect from
him and Rochelle both and Gillian. Respect their characters. He went from multi-class to straight cleric, and she went from straight bard to multi-class fighter bard. So they kind of switched roles.
Yeah, they switched. Yeah.
Which he is the highest level spellcaster then.
Yes.
That we have a very martial focused party.
Yep. You got those cleric spells.
Yeah, he's got those high level, which that was pretty good in that last boss fight we had.
Yes, it was very.
Do you think? This might be spoiling too much. Do you think we will make it to the Marin Grove next session?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't exactly decided how many, because here's the thing that I don't do. And I think you and I are the same on this, Eric. I'm not positive. I don't roll for encounters.
Mm.
I don't just do them randomly, like, oh, I rolled, you encounter 2 bears or whatever.
Yeah, 2d4 bears.
If you guys encounter something, it's because I, the DM, want you to have encountered it.
Yeah.
So I haven't necessarily decided how many encounters you're going to have between here and there.
Okay.
I mean, you know of at least one because you've been told that you're going through a place.
Right.
Those
are like the areas you have prepped, basically, where the ones you're talking about.
But other than that, I'm not sure what else you might encounter on the way there. I haven't decided yet, to be honest. I do have somewhere a list of hey, you're just going on in Anonymous just randomly. So if I want to pull some of those for this session, I'll do it.
When we first started doing D&D with Fandelver, I think I did roll for encounters in that campaign. At the very beginning, at one point I at least rolled like a wolf encounter or something. And then I'm pretty sure, I know by the time we reached Princes and maybe while during Fandelver, I stopped that and started looking at okay, what are the encounters that I want to actually run based on the tables that they give me. And definitely did that with Tomb 100%. I looked at the encounters and said, there's some really good encounters in there. And I was like, all right, these are the ones. What I did do is I found a website where you could roll that automatically generated what encounters you got on what days.
Oh, okay.
So it calculated however, because it's supposed to be you roll 3 times a day, and here's the 2 in the day and 1 at night and all this. It got real technical. I threw a lot of that out real quick. And I didn't even really pay attention to which encounters it rolled. I just looked at the frequency to know how often I should plant my encounters in there. And then I made sure basically to go through all the interesting encounters that we hit up all those and kind of ignore the ones that weren't. But yeah, I definitely pre-rolled and again, because we work on Roll20, you kind of have to have that stuff prepped. You can't just say oh, you run into whatever, and I just pull up the stat sheet. No, I gotta have the map. I gotta have the tokens. You can have a random encounter map on there, which for the jungle was very nice because it was all just 2 or 3 maps I was rotating around and switching off different. I was Dragon Age 2ing it, where it's just closing off different venues and opening them up. And
this one's an L shape. This one's a T shape.
Yeah, it's literally just closing and opening the dynamic lighting. But yeah, I agree. I would recommend, and I think we talked about that on a DM roundtable whenever that one came up. But
I'm also very kind of frugal with combat. I kind of want combat to matter. I don't want to just throw especially with a slightly shorter session. Because if I just decide, oh, you guys encounter 4 monsters that you have to fight, well, that's most of our session. If I do that,
and at this level too, it's going to be long. Yeah. Yeah. People have a lot of options, a lot of powers.
So I want to be frugal with that, with throwing just combat encounters. I'll throw social encounters at you guys all day long. That's fine. Yeah. Or exploration or puzzle or whatever. But the combat stuff, I just know if I'm going to do it, it needs to mean something, because it's going to be 2 hours of a 2.5 hour session.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're going to start the TOA campaign.
Are there any interesting items in the armory? I probably didn't spell this out well enough to the guys, which I probably will do this at the beginning of next session. That was an opportunity for them to just trade, like, because I gave them items at the beginning. If they don't like the weapons I gave them, they can go get different items.
Oh, okay. Wow, at this point, I think we're all pretty married into our stuff that we've got.
I remember somebody early on saying something like, I think maybe it was Kethra saying like, I have a short bow. When did I ever have a short bow? Or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because
it's like a shop.
I was trying to give you guys, like, in the beginning, I was trying to give you guys, like, one of what you'd have, one melee and one range weapon. But, yeah, it was like, and that's sort of the shop situation where it's like, well, if Gillian didn't like that her only range weapon was a trident, she could go in there and get something else. But now Gillian has a throwing axe, so her range problem is probably not quite as bad of a problem anymore.
You might need to go in there and make sure that axe is set up, because I wasn't sure how to set that up either.
I think she did just fine. I saw her rolling it at some point. Looked right.
Is there a way to even do... I was talking about the actual special ability.
No, there's not. Okay. There's not because it's how many creatures it passes through on its way to the target. I don't know how you'd even plug that in. Just a drop down?
Oh, okay.
So instead, it's just going to be manual. It's 1d8 force damage per creature.
That's a neat idea for a weapon. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, we talked about this last time, but I like the idea of like, oh, the boss used this against you.
Yeah, that is
now
cool.
You have this power.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very cool. I don't think I got a chance to... I don't think I ever got to use that in Tomb. Or boss used a weapon. Yeah, I did. That mummy that... Well, spoiling for for Tomb. But I think there was that mummy that had the mace. Trying to use it.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, he did, yeah.
Punched you, but good.
Punched my clock.
Punched the clock. What else? I guess that was all. We didn't have combat. We did a lot of stuff. I mean, we completed the Verdant Tower.
With the Verdant Tower, you basically got the plot.
That's true. Yeah,
giving you.
That was a long, cold open for the situation.
Yeah.
I did not know it'd take 6 sessions to get through.
I mean, I think I told you at some point that I expected the whole of Verdant Spire to be 3 sessions.
Wow.
And it was double that.
Yeah.
But yes, that was all cold open. You guys had no idea what was going on until you got to the end of the Spire.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of exposition dumping. That's always awkward. I could have literally written a story. But instead, I just had all these bullet points. Like, all right, they need to know this, they need to know that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you're like, all right, did I fucking miss anything that they need to know?
That was a good social encounter. I wouldn't even talk about I like the idea of choosing, like, the NPC companion, too. I didn't think we'd get any of the 3 with us, but you were like, oh, yeah, you can choose one of us.
That I always wanted to do. Just I really like that in Tomb. I really like the idea in general, but we did it in Tomb where it's like, oh, here's the characters. Pick one to take with you.
Yeah. And you guys end up taking like a 7.
That's right.
A little much there, but...
But I'll say this, though. Like, those 3 are, like, your main allies in this whole thing. So you're probably going to see all 3 of them again anyway.
Okay.
Like, this isn't a too terribly long campaign. So you've met your 3 big allies, and they are basically your 3 big allies.
Gotcha. This also might be spoiling too much. Is the tower considered a home base, or are we going to be like popping around?
Could be. You could go back. It's a safe place for sure. Right now, there may be a way for you to get around magically at some point, but for right now, you're just traveling, overland.
Hippogriffs.
Well, that'll be hippogriffs.
Give the man a hippogriff.
A friendly hippogriff farmer.
Yeah. What are the odds? Another friendly hippogriff farmer. Or breeder, it probably wouldn't be a farmer.
Before you said there were only chopchits to go, I was thinking about going south to look for a hippogriff farm.
Yeah.
That's right.
I won't stop until I find one.
Surely there must be a hippogriff farmer somewhere on this continent.
It'll still be faster than going up the arrowed route.
Yep. I don't know how to add stuff in D&D Beyond.
Yeah, we don't
Jason?
actually use D&D Beyond at all.
I'll have to look at that. I don't know.
We pretty much do everything through Roll20, so...
Yeah. I thought about that too, like, in terms of like a campaign, the way campaigns are set up and whatever. My campaign notes are just Word docs with like just tons of bullet points.
Yeah.
So that they're not nearly as neat as like reading a campaign book.
Yeah. That's pretty much how mine are.
Yeah.
All right. Any tease for next session? Next time on...
You guys are going through, and honestly, when I gave you guys the option, I like both those things I built. I really like both.
And this is a straight up mutually exclusive. Like you either do this one or this one.
You could pass through the Undine's waters at some other point if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's a location. You could go. You could not go.
Maybe on the way back.
Yeah, maybe you go there on the way back.
Let's hit up that Undine.
Change of scenery, you know.
Yep.
Go up one way and go down the other.
Yeah.
Maximize hitting all the things.
That's right. But yeah, you guys going through the one wood, dangerous forest.
Find out if I use my ranger powers and how to use them.
That's right.
Because even I'm not sure. It's all new. All right, I think that will do it for this week's Craft for the Lost Plane. I'm very happy to be back doing D&D.
You just call it Craft for the Lost Plane?
I did call it Craft for the Lost Plane. Chat for the Lost Plane. Good Lord. Can you tell I am jonesing to get back into crafting now?
Yep. Get on the mind.
I know. My next plan is to do a stream where I talk about what campaign I want to run next, because I've narrowed it down yet. I've narrowed it down to a couple, but there's still a lot of good stuff out there. Yeah. I really liked Remember the Frost Maiden too. It was a really good campaign. Yeah. I did. I wasn't sure about that, and I have not liked the last couple 5e campaigns.
Yeah.
But that one made me happy.
It has the good maps, right? I think I read that somewhere.
It's back to the good maps. It's back to the good maps. That's a big plus for sure. But I like the actual setting and everything too. All right, thank you to DM Chris, player Raymond. Thank you to all the fans for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.